For the longest time, I have really enjoyed carrying the original Staccato C single stack 1911 type pistol. Done a number of reviews on this throughout the ages. Tried the C2. It's gone, so it's not part of this comparison today, and nor is the original C. Then Staccato came out this year with the, I mean, maybe late last year, but I bought this in the middle of the summer this year, the double stack Staccato C. Really, really like this gun. Use that in the Mag 40 class. Yeah, you have to go check out Mag 40 Day 4 if you want to know what happened with that one. Anyway, really like that, and thought that was kind of going to be the holy grail. Now, I also tested the CS. Didn't like that gun, even though the frame is basically the same on the CS as it is on the C. Anyway, then Staccato had to come out with the HD. Now, the HD series I kind of like, takes Glock magazines. A lot to like about it, although they had some issues, like I think some teething issues with some of the original ones. But they came out with what I thought they never would. I did a review on this one a while back too. I'll post these somewhere throughout this video here. The HD Compact 3.6. All I can say so far is wow. Now, you'd think that this and the CS would be pretty competitive. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. But again, I don't know, the CS just didn't speak to me. Now, this is not mine. I borrowed this gun again, different optic on it than what was on it originally, but borrowed it again so that I could do a comprehensive test between the new C, the CS, and the HD 3.6. So enough about that. I'm going to go to the tabletop. We'll look at these. We'll compare them. We'll talk about differences, and we'll also roll in a lot of range footage to show you at least what I think is best. Now, remember, these are samples of one, and this is what works for me with these particular three guns. It may not work for you, and may not be the best for you. Everybody's different. Everybody's hands are different. Everybody's preferences are different. So again, this is only what worked for me with these three guns. All right, enough of that. Let's go into the cave and take a look. All right, the new C, the CS and the HD 3.6, all very similar guns in a lot of ways, but some differences too. Staccato says that the CS is best suited for concealed carry. Also says that the HD 3.6 is best suited for concealed carry. It lists the C as an all-purpose gun. Now, it comes in two different lengths also. I've got the compact one for the Glock 19 size or the 15-round magazines. We'll talk about magazines more in a minute. They also make a larger frame that'll take the 17-round magazines, and they call that the full size. So, again, it's kind of an all-purpose. The Staccato website also lists the C2, which we're not getting into here because I got rid of mine, as best suited for concealed carry. Had some issues with that. Anyway, we're not comparing it today. We're comparing these three. I want to put the HD out away for just a minute, and I really want to concentrate on the C and the CS. Now, every one of these has been safety inspected. No magazines in the gun, no rounds in the chamber for those of you who are safety concerned. And again, I did borrow the CS again to compare with the rest of them. Basic differences here: 4-inch barrel, 3.5-inch barrel, 26-ounce empty weight, 23-ounce empty weight. Everything else is pretty much the same. They both use the tool-less guide rod takedown system, which I like, and they both take 15-round magazines. In fact, there's the magazine for my C, and there's the magazine that came with the CS that I borrowed, and they are almost identical. I don't know what the difference is in the hole here in the front of the one. As they're also a little bit of dimpling in the front of the magazine that came with the C, as opposed to the ones that came with the CS. But for all practical purposes, they are identical magazines, and they will work in either gun. There's the CS mag in the C, and the C mag in the CS. But besides the magazines, I gotta make sure I don't mess these up when I give the gun back to Molly. The frames, with the exception of the length of the dust cover on the C, because that extra 1/2-inch barrel versus the shorter 3.5-inch barrel on the CS, the frames are virtually identical. Everything about them is identical all the way around. In fact, I haven't done this, but it wouldn't surprise me if I could put the C upper on the CS, and probably everything would work. All I don't know about the recoil system, but again, it's Other than that, you can see both of these were ordered with a straight trigger, which is an option on these. This one was not ordered with the DLC barrel. The C I did order with the DLC barrel and the X serrations, or whatever they call them there in the front. Premium package, cost a few dollars, well, several $100s more to get that. When I originally tested the CS, it was wearing a loophole delta point, as I've got on the C. It's since been changed for the Trijicon RMR, which is, by the way, what I also have on the 3.6 HD. The main reason I put the Delta Point Pro on the C is because it's a $50 mounting kit, just a couple of pins and screws on a rear sight, versus the $150 or so for the mounting kit for the RMR. And again, that's where things are simplified just a little bit for the HD. All right, enough of that. Again, these do have grip safeties, ambidextrous safeties, and not ambidextrous slide stop levers or magazine release. It doesn't even look like you can switch the magazine release over just by the shape of it on either of these guns. But hammers are the same, triggers, really everything about them is the same, just a difference in the barrel length and the length of the upper. So enough about that. Let's put the C aside for just a second and compare the CS with the HD 3.6. Again, this is a 15-round magazine gun. It takes Glock pattern Mech-Gar magazines. Comes with the package. Well, you get 3 different package levels. One will come with 2 mags. One comes with 3. When you get the DLC coated barrel and the X serrations or whatever they call those, and the I can't remember what else it comes with it, but anyway, you get 4 magazines with that for the premium package, and it comes with 4 15-round magazines. I also ordered 4 additional 18-round Glock 19 pattern magazines from, these actually are Mech-Gar magazines, and they obviously will extend it just a little bit. With the Glock magazines, oh, they're essentially flush. They're flush mainly because there's a little bit of tailpiece on the grip pattern, grip itself. So we'll put those side by side in just a minute. But Glock 19 magazine, we did run this with Glock 19 magazines and even with PMags, and yeah, it runs with anything. Grip angle didn't change. I've had a couple questions on, I think when I did the Alpha Foxtrot S15 that uses S15 Shield magazines are designed for the Glock 43X and 48. Did that change the grip angle? And the answer is these are still 1911 grip angles, even though they're working with magazines designed for the different grip angle in the Glock. All right, some differences though between these guns. Besides the X serrations and the extra 1/10 of an inch barrel, 3.6 versus 3.5, not a big deal. From the back, they look pretty much the same, except obviously you've got a grip safety here on one, and no grip safety on the 3.6. The slides look very similar, although the slide is a little fatter on the 3.6. And that brings us, remember, I double checked these, they are unloaded, which brings us to the front profile, and the slide is just a little bit fatter on the 3.6 than it is on the CS. You can also see the recoil guide plug is a little different. It contours to the bottom of the barrel on the 3.6. It does not on the CS. And fiber optic front sight on the CS, and just a tritium sight on the 3.6. And you also notice that the sight is attached to the mounting plate behind the optic on the CS, and the sight is dovetailed with a little pin that holds it in place, a roll pin. I have heard reports of some of those coming out, but it's a roll pin that holds that sight in front of the optic, so the optics move back a little farther, which also made the optic plate a lot less expensive to adapt to the Trijicon. So kind of innovative, and I like moving that back and giving it a little more room here, so you're less likely to get carbon buildup on the front of the optic. Although I haven't got much on this, and haven't really noticed a lot on the front of the C, even though the optic sits right at the almost the back of the ejection port. But some other notable differences. The 3.6 won't fit in the CS holster. Again, slides a little fatter, but also you look at the difference in the width of the trigger guard. The trigger guard on the CS versus the trigger guard on the HD 3.6. This is a Glock width trigger guard. There's texture on the front of both of these. Not real aggressive. If you want to shoot with your fingers in front of the trigger guard, it's up to you, but there's really nothing specific to hold on to up there. But it's a much girthier, much fatter trigger guard. The 3.6 is fully ambidextrous, well, more or less. You do have an ambidextrous slide stop lever or slide release lever in addition to the ambidextrous manual safeties, and it does appear as though the magazine release is swappable, and there's a notch on each side of the magazines that'll still make that work. And again, it'll work with Glock magazines that will accommodate both of those. Grip texture is a little bit more aggressive, not much, but a little bit more so than it is on the CS. Maybe even a little grippier than it is on the C. But two things, well, one gripe, but two things I really like about it. Let's get the gripe out of the way. And maybe it's just me, but I shoot with a really high hand, just pressed hard up against the beaver tail. And when I deactivate the safety there, I felt the pinch right there. So I'm deactivating my thumb, and I ride my thumb on top of it when I shoot. And the safety itself is actually pinching right down here. When that safety goes down, just a little bit of an area pinch, because I've got a solid grip. I can feel it pinching right in here on my hand. It gets a little irritating after a while if you're using the safety a lot. But, you know, drawing and firing one shot, putting safety back on, putting the holster, etc. So a little pinch point there that I didn't notice. In fact, you look at the totally different safety design on the CS versus the 3.6 HD, and that design also carries over to the C. That's why I never had an issue with it on the C. Never noticed it on the CS. Okay, that's my one gripe. But two things I really like about this gun. If you notice where the slide stop lever is, it's moved back farther than it is on the CS. Definitely an easier reach with my shooting hand thumb. And again, if you're left-handed, ambidextrous works just the same. So having that back a little farther makes it a little easier to reach rather than having to try to shift my hand, which, again, with this CS, I just use my left thumb anyway, no big deal. But it is nicer to have that. But what I really like about it is just this little trough. And I think I mentioned that in the original video. There's a ledge right there, one on each side. Index point for my trigger finger, keep it out of the trigger guard until I'm ready to shoot. And not quite a gas pedal, but almost. It seems to give me better control of this gun with the that little ledge there. Just a wonderful, subtle, but functional touch by Staccato. All right, so what about the guns themselves as far as function, etc.? All right, let's bring the C back into the picture here. So I took them all to the range on the same day, same ammunition, same conditions, and did some general testing with them. And first thing I did was pattern them. If I remember right, and I'll roll the footage in here as we're doing this. I patterned them at 25 yards, same ammunition, same conditions, same everything. Starting with the C, a pretty good group, a little high, got a high flyer out of it. And then went to the CS in the lower left target, and that thing is scattered all over the place. And again, same grip. Is it a snappier? I don't know. It just didn't work as well for me. And I was trying my best to like this gun, the CS. And then when I went to the HD 3.6 on the lower right-hand target, the group itself overall was pretty much comparable to the C. Now let's go for the HD Compact 3.6 for the right-hand target. Then I wanted to see how they work in more or less I won't say a super speed test. I'm not doing 0.17 splits or anything with them, but I did run the plates. So I ran the 7 plates starting with the Rabbit and then the 6-pack. 8 shots, 5.5. And most of them I would manage to miss 1 plate out of it, but my best with the C down here, was 4.81 seconds, 7 shots, no misses. The CS, I did manage a clean run, and but that was a 5.06. And that was after several tries with that. And then we get to the 3.6. I had a 4.95 clean, which is just what, 14 hundredths of a second slower than it was on the C. Did have several others in there. I had a 4.71 with 8 shots. Had a 4.66 with 7 shots, but 1 miss on it. So I'm sorry, CS, you're just not working in the plates. 3.6 and C, yeah, you're doing pretty comparable on that. And again, I'm not really sure what to attribute it to, other than the fact I like the feel. Maybe that little gas pedal ledge does make a huge difference on that. I don't know. So far, so good. All right, we didn't even bother with 25 yards. I took it out to 50. And with the C, I started out and it took 7 shots to get the 6 plates, starting on the large, it's an 18 by 24 gong, going to the 16-inch circle, then down to the 12-inch. It took me 2 shots to get the 10-inch with the C.
8-inch right next to the gong on the right.
And then we went over to the first shot on the 8-inch, first shot on the 6-inch with the C. I still really like this gun. The CS, on the other hand, 2 shots to get the gong, 3 shots to get the 16-inch plate, 2 shots to get the 12-inch plate, 2 shots to get the 10-inch, 7 tries on the 8-inch plate. I could not make the CS work at 50 yards. And I had that same problem when they did the original review on it. And again, you saw from the original target, they were sighted in relatively well. And again, it's centered. It's just scattered all over with that one. Then we got to the 3.6. And I just, very first time running at 50 yards, the gong, the 16, the 12, the 10, the 8, and the 6. 1 shot each, and it's there. Does that tell you I really, really like this gun with that, the Trigon armor on it? Green dot, by the way, as opposed to red dot. Let's see if it shows up the green there. As opposed to the red on Molly's gun. But it works. Man, I don't know what the magic is that Staccato put into this, but right now I got about 600 rounds through it, including just a wide variety of ammo, including some junk steel case, and mixed up a whole bunch of different ammo in one mag, ran everything, runs it out of the PMag. I mentioned that before, but I don't need the PMag when I've got 4 15 rounds and 4 18-round mags for it. It works for me. I gotta like it. It works for me. I gotta say I love that little 3.6. Doggone you, Staccato, you made me buy 2 guns this year. Oh well, I don't know what they can come out with. I hope they don't come out with anything else for a while, because I'm sold. Range gun, concealed carry gun, that'll work really well for a range gun. All right, long video comparing the 3, but this is 3 individual guns. Each gun's going to be potentially just a little different, although with the quality control I've seen on Staccato, I don't expect a lot of that. I expect them all to be pretty much the same, but your mileage may vary. The way these guns work in your hands are probably going to be different than it works in mine. So this is just my experience with these 3 guns. But CS, you're out of the picture. C for range, HD 3.6 for carry. Love everything about that gun. All right, thanks for sticking with me through all of this. You can see by everything we covered so far, my preference is for the HD 3.6. Wow. All I can say is for a concealed carry gun, I have been carrying it. Do you know I still don't care for the CS? I explained all that in the video. Am I going to retire completely my original single stack C? Don't know yet. Haven't made up my mind on that, but I do like the HD 3.6. Am I going to do something with my C, the double stack C? The answer is I'm still going to keep this, because as a range gun, more than a concealed carry gun, I do like it. When I'm working with Hillsdale College out on the range, that may be my carry gun. Taking other classes, maybe that will be. So no, I'm still going to keep the C, the HD 3.6, and my original C. Other than that, Staccatos are all gone, and I'm not going to rush out and spend money on the CS. All right, thanks for sticking with me. Long video, but I really appreciate your support, and hey, thanks for stopping in.